Welcome back to another episode of Water Break. Happy Wednesday to everybody, and we're excited for another episode.
Got another week in review here. It's been a little bit since we've done a week in review, so I guess we can call this weeks in
Weeks
review.
in review, yeah. We took a week off, and then
We did.
It's been a while, so a lot's happened in the sports
I think the last time we did a week in review was the week after the Lakers won the championship.
You have to literally bring it up every time.
Every episode from here on
Like
out.
we said in a Halloween special, this is the end. So this is the end.
You said that. No one else agreed with you.
It's wrapping up. Dalen agrees with me.
I agree.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, as he laughs,
See?
just because he's a Laker hater.
He agreed. Oh, no, bro. That has nothing to do with it.
Yes, it has a lot to do with it.
It's totally objective.
You guys are both
Unbiased.
extreme Laker haters.
Nah, unbiased. Unbiased opinions. Totally unbiased.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to hop into the weeks in review here because we got a lot to discuss. A lot of things happened in the past few weeks. So, Dalen, let us know.
Yeah, right. Like you said, it's been a while, so there's been a ton of stuff that's happened in the past couple of weeks. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to everything, but I went ahead and, got what was good. So, starting off in the UFC, Khabib announced his retirement after defeating Justin Gaethje for the light heavyweight championship.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight. I mean, Khabib pretty much dominated Gaethje, and Gaethje's no scrub.
Yeah,
no. He took it to Poirier the last fight, and speaking of Poirier, that's gonna be a good one with McGregor versus Poirier, but. Khabib dominated Gaethje. Did you guys see that Khabib wanted to put him in a chokehold because he said he would never tap.
Yeah.
So
But then he felt bad. He didn't want to break his arm in front of his family.
Yeah, he didn't want to break his arm, so he had to. So, yeah, Khabib's a beast, though. He's a monster. Everyone's talking about him being the GOAT. I don't know.
You think he actually is going to retire, or?
I don't think so. No.
I don't.
Dana White specifically said, I think it was that night or the day after in an interview, that he spoke with Khabib saying it was an emotional decision and everything like that, and he's going to reevaluate it. And so just when you have those second thoughts, like immediately after, I don't think he's going to retire.
I don't know. He said he made a promise to his mom, so...
I mean, he was definitely emotional after that fight. So, I mean, if that's something, I feel like if he said something like that, like that's pretty serious and something to kind of stand by. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, moving on. Major League Baseball. The 32-year drought is over, boys. Our Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series 4-2, and Corey Seager took home the World Series MVP.
I love L.A.
We love it.
We love it.
That one feels good.
Yeah, it felt good. It was. I thought we were all gonna watch it together, but we didn't. We were all socially distant, and we watched from our respective
as
houses.
we are right now.
But I mean, I guess I'll go with my perspective first, and then you guys want to share like what you guys thinking. I mean, I was in my room watching the game, and my palms were sweating like crazy. I mean. Part of it ready to celebrate on social media, but then also just like, come on. We can't just hold on. Let's get this dub. Let's get this K and let's win it. But I was nervous, and finally we won. I woke up everybody in the house just clapping and cheering, and everybody else in the house was not really baseball fans, so they didn't really care. But I was going crazy. So I mean, that was me. Just finally that. We did it, and especially in our lifetimes, never seeing them win a championship.
Yeah,
and then going through the roller coaster of the Astros, and then obviously, I mean, we didn't make the World Series with the Cubs, losing to the Cubs, and then losing to the Red Sox. So it was just like
then the Nationals.
The Nationals. So it was like finally, we did it. So that was me. That was my angle. How about you, Ray?
I think it was an extremely entertaining World Series. There was so much that happened. I mean, when you look back to Game 2, the same thing happened as in Game 6 when Gonsolin got pulled out early, got pulled out in the first. I was at that game, and then having to rely on your relief pitchers the entire time. He had to rely on the bullpen the entire time. Ended up losing that game on game 2, obviously, after game 1 win. And then game 4, obviously the craziness of that, Jansen coming in the 9th and just blowing it up. And it was like Little League out there, really. It was just absolutely terrible. Those 2 errors, that error in the outfield and then that throw to Will Smith. He turned his glove before the ball even hit his, before he even had possession of it. He turned his glove. And just those really, really dumb errors. I think it was Chris Taylor that had the error out there, but I don't remember for sure. But I think it was Chris Taylor. But just after that, and then game 5, and then game 6, going through 5 innings after 5, I didn't think we were going to win the game. Tony Snell was just pitching a phenomenal game, unbelievable, cooking. And you saw when he got pulled out after Chris Taylor got that first hit, and when he got pulled out, you could visibly see he was upset. I mean, you saw his lips. He was very upset and very angry. And Kevin Cash, that was just such a stupid move to me. I'm not, again, we're extremely critical of coaches and managers and stuff like that. And I'm not, I try not to be sometimes because it's like, I wouldn't do any better. But at the same time, I think in that situation, you give up 1 hit. It doesn't matter what the analytics say. You roll with your ace. Like if he's throwing that well, and especially after that game 2 win that I mentioned earlier, he was lights out as well. When they pulled Gonsolin early, both those times, those guys went head to head both times. So for him to not roll with him at least another inning or 2 was really foolish to me. And then that game was so close the whole time, being 2-1 when we were up 2-1 after that 6th inning, and then in the 9th when Mookie hit that home run, it was over.
We felt it. I mean, we debated like who should have been MVP. I mean, I thought Turner maybe had a good run at MVP, but do you think Kevin Cash should have been MVP of the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, I mean he really was at least the MVP of that game.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Mookie hitting that home run. Mookie also scored another run. As far as the Dodgers go, he was the MVP of that game, and actually probably the whole bullpen you can include into the MVP. But I mean, if we're being realistic, it was definitely Kevin Cash for that game. But I think it was a smart choice, giving Seager the MVP. He definitely was the rock throughout the entire playoffs, batting .400 in the World Series, and then obviously in the NLCS, he was an absolute beast in the NLCS. And when we were down 3-1, he hit every big hit when he needed to hit it.
Yeah.
And so I think it was well deserved for sure.
For sure.
What do you think, Day?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it was a breath of fresh air just with, everything that's been going on in 2020, and finally just being able to see a team that you're, a fan of just give you something this year that was like, something that we all needed. So, I was definitely thrilled and excited for our guys, and on hopefully we can get another one next year. Sticking with the MLB, the Boston Red Sox are bringing back Alex Cora as their manager.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't really know. What's funny is for some reason, we really hate on the Astros, but I don't know why we don't hate as much on the Red Sox. I mean, they did the same thing, but was it? I don't know. I guess was it not to the same extent, or what was kind of the issues there? But I mean, to me, it's kind of like the MLB didn't really do anything about it. I mean, he got a 1-year suspension, so. I mean, I don't blame the Red Sox. Like if they're like, well, we didn't really. He got a 1-year suspension, so we might as well just roll with him. I mean, he's a great manager. I think it was a smart decision to bring him back.
Yeah.
The Chicago White Sox have hired Hall of Famer Tony La Russa as their next manager. He was last in the league in 2011 when he and the Cardinals won the World Series.
Yeah, I saw that. I was blown away.
Me too.
I didn't expect his name to be brought up in that conversation at all. I believe that 2011 with Albert Pujols last time. I think it's, I don't know. We talk a lot about legacy on the show. I mean, I think it was kind of almost a mic drop to leave when you did. With that, with winning with Albert and then him leaving and then you leaving together. I think that was kind of a cool story. But I wish him luck, and I think he's a great manager.
Sometimes you get the itch and you just want to come back and.
Yeah, he was just bored at home, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does. Moving on to college football, number 20 ranked USC beat Arizona State 28-27 in a comeback win in the Coliseum to start off Pac-12 play. And as you guys know, I was super pumped about that game.
Yeah, we got a few texts.
Yeah, I'm happy the Pac-12 is back, and couldn't have started off better with a comeback win. So, that was a big win for us, and I'm excited to see how the Pac-12 is gonna finish. I think they have 7 games, and we'll see how all the other teams do. So that was pretty cool.
Extremely entertaining game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, well, I guess 3.5 quarters was rough. I mean, we both want Clay Helton gone.
Still, yeah.
But and then obviously there was high hopes of Kingsbury, but Clay Helton has not done the greatest of jobs, and so I don't know. It seems like this was one of those games. Like there was probably 2 or 3 even last year where it was like, all right, this is the game where he loses his job. Like we're ready. Like yes, and then the Trojans pull it out, and you're like, well,
he lives to see another day.
So and this was another one of those games. Like, are you kidding me? And then getting the onside kick and everything. Like, I don't know. It was a good recovery. I almost was like this was borderline Atlanta Falcons, but I don't know. But fun game. But looking forward to the rest of conference play.
It still blows my mind. Onside kicks still blow my mind.
Like how a team can.
How can you not be more prepared for that? Like,
I think it's just the luck of it's the bounce. It's just wherever the ball.
I guess, but I feel like the ball still hit him in the shoulder, right?
Yeah, a lot of times it's the guys just don't catch it cleanly, or they bobble it, and once you bobble it, it's 50-50. Sometimes it's even the defense it's a sure grab for them. I mean, being I was on Hans' team in high school, and part of it too is the psychological. I'm going to get hit, right now, and I'm not in a position to brace myself because it's whatever you're running. If you're running the ball, wherever, even as a receiver, you can still whether you're in the air to shoot yourself or whatever, but your whole job is to pick up this ball because it's loose, right. As a receiver, if you throw it, quarterback throws, you get hit and you drop it, it's a dead ball. But in an onside kick, it's the ball is live and I might get wrecked on this play and
I get that.
Lose it. So I think a lot of times when you see it hit a player like that, it's usually he's looking up to see where the defense is, how close are they or whatever. So I don't know. Sometimes it's the bounce of the ball. It's mentally bracing for that hit too. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Another exciting game last weekend. 4th-ranked Notre Dame defeated the number 1 team in college football, the Clemson Tigers, in double overtime, 47-40 in South Bend. Huge win for Notre Dame. However, the Tigers were without Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
So give what that may be, but at the end of the day, Notre Dame pulled one off and upset the number 1 team in the nation.
You always have to give credit to the team that wins. regardless, you have to play with who you have available.
Mm-hmm.
That's you can make excuses for so many championship runs and everything. We didn't have this player, but the truth of the matter is you have to play with who you have available. But let's not kid ourselves. If Trevor Lawrence is on that field, Clemson wins the game. I don't really. And again, you have to give Notre Dame credit. Clemson lost, but if Trevor Lawrence is on that field, they win the game.
Yeah, both teams played well. It was, I think it was more of a fun game. I don't know if it was it wasn't a wow, either quarterback, Ian Book and.
Unless you're a Notre Dame fan.
I can't pronounce the Clemson quarterbacks. Utalele, how do you say it?
Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei. There we go.
Uiagalelei.
Yeah, both quarterbacks, they played okay. They weren't, wow. I wasn't wowed by either of them. But,
yeah.
So, it was a good game, a good win. It was one of those things Notre Dame, you can't lose this game. That's where I felt Clemson's down their starting quarterback. Get this win, and it still bodes well for Notre Dame, at a chance to, potentially. I'm assuming I haven't heard anything as far as the playoffs. If they're not going forward with it, are they're still doing? I'm assuming they're still doing playoffs. So.
I think so. So
it kind of it helps Clemson. It helps the Notre Dame's case as far as the playoff goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, we'll move into the NFL. The New Orleans Saints defeated Tom Brady's Bucs 38-3. Breeze threw for 222 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Brady threw for 209 yards and 3 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, defeated. You really took it easy on them, just saying they just simply lost. Like they
Demolished.
They got wrecked. They got wrecked, in that game. And look, I was leaning towards the Bucs. I mean, my DraftKings lineup was heavily for the Bucs, and it was just.
So you obviously didn't do very well.
No, it didn't do well. I think he got like 60 points or something like that. In that game, but I mean, for the Bucs to not, they didn't run the ball. They ran the ball 4 times. I mean, statistically 5 times, but one of them was a kneel down. Like to run the ball 4 times in the game. That's the fewest amount of rushing attempts ever in NFL history.
Yeah,
like that's just crazy to not run the ball. You have two solid backs. Like you're not going to give them the ball. You're just going to say, Tom Brady, let's just drop back and just throw the football. The Saints have a really good defense, probably an underrated defense at that, especially in their secondary with Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Lattimore. Like their secondary is solid. Their pass rush is solid, and you're just gonna say, Tom Brady, you're 43 years old, just drop back and just throw it every single time. And they were just a lot of 3 and outs and obviously turnovers, like, and bad turnovers too. Like Tom Brady did not look good at all. But I give more so credit to the Saints too.
Yeah.
Like I really like the way they played. And now, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders, he's my guy. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Obviously, his days with the Broncos, but like he stepped up. I think he's one of the big missing pieces too in that offense. Someone to help out Michael Thomas. The Saints obviously getting Michael Thomas back is huge. And then Kamara, I mean, obviously, oh my goodness, the Vikings running back is slipping me.
Dalvin
Cook. Dalvin Cook's balling right now, but Kamara, I think all around receiving and running, I think he's the best back, at least top 2 back in the league. So, I mean, I really liked what the Saints did last night.
I think what you said is true. You got to give credit to the Saints, but in the same sense, it was a pretty embarrassing performance by the Buccaneers. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, you're right. You got to give credit to where credit is due, but to not score a touchdown for Tom Brady to be just absolutely pitiful. Really, it was just a complete embarrassment.
For sure.
Do you think the Bucs are? Do you think we've given them too much? I mean, I think they'll be a playoff team.
Yeah.
But do we think we put a little bit too much stock in the Bucs? What do you think, Day?
No, I mean, I'll never bet against Tom Brady ever. I mean, just seeing his resume of things and how he always just finds a way to win or he comes back and wins or what it.
And they have so many weapons.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, yeah, you can say he's 43, this and that, but I mean, it's Tom Brady, and until he walks off that field in retirement, I mean, he's gonna do Tom Brady things. So I don't think so. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make a deep run in the playoffs and maybe even get to that Super Bowl. So we'll see.
You brought up he was 43. I thought of it like they kept him in the game the whole time, and he was just getting wrecked. Like I feel like NFL teams should do more of like how the Patriots did with Cam Newton and the Niners with Garoppolo. Like they should sit starting quarterbacks like when the game is out of reach like that. They should just, especially when Tom Brady's just old like that and you're down 38-0. Like I just call it a game. Like it's not like soccer where whatever if you make it closer like you're gonna get some points. Like just end. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting point. No. Some other notable headlines. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes passes Dan Marino as fastest to 100 passing touchdowns. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson ties Dan Marino for best start by quarterback, 25-5. And J.J. Watt notches his 100th career sack, becoming the 5th fastest player in NFL history. So those definitely were. I mean, pretty good stats for these guys.
I would say to me the most impressive is Pat Mahomes. I mean, he's overall the best player for sure. I think Lamar Jackson to me is one of those players that's extremely overrated. I think he had a great year last year, but I don't think he's going to continue to live up to the hype. But Pat Mahomes for sure, I think, has lived up to the contract that he's been given and is continuing to live up to the hype that we've given him.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson will settle in. I don't think he falls off to the, I guess, RG3 level or whatever. I don't think he, drops. I mean, obviously the injury dropped RG3 off, but I think he settles into a Dante Culpepper, Donovan McNabb type of player, a good mobile quarterback he'll be a starter in the NFL for a long time. He'll have some really good years. If you put a good team around him, like he's going to, in a good defense, he'll play well. That's where I see him, the McNabb, Culpepper, boat. Mahomes is unbelievable. He's on pace right now to throw 50 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Crazy.
Like that's insane. Like again, he's got 1 interception this year, and it was really like it was the one loss they have against the Raiders. It was the 4th and 8 or 9 or something like that. Like they're trying to come back or whatever, 4th down. They're trying to come back at the end of the game, like trying to pull off a win at the end of the game. He just threw the ball in the middle of the field to try to make something happen. So I mean, this dude's insane. Like he's crazy good. I think like he gets the Aaron Rodgers comparison, but I think the difference between him and Rodgers is I feel like, I mean, they both got that swag and that confidence, but I think with Mahomes, I think he's just more fearless to throw like at anybody. Mm-hmm. Like I don't see him just backing away from some of the best defenders. I see him and then just seeing him like even run at linebackers. Like, I think he's just a tad more fearless than Aaron Rodgers was. I don't know if that's the difference, but they're very close.
Yeah, I agree with that. Wrapping it up in the NFL, Washington's Alex Smith threw his first touchdown pass since his gruesome injury in 2018.
Yeah, so cool to see that. I think we talked about this maybe our last week in review or a couple times ago. Just such a beautiful story, and really so happy to see just the journey he's taken, and from potentially losing his leg to now throwing that touchdown pass. I think it's cool for not only him, but for his family who's been on that journey with him.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see, these guys come back and return to play. And, I mean, Washington's not a good team, but still to see him, I guess, go out on a high note. I don't know if he's done after this season, but just not go out with a gruesome injury and go out on his own terms. So.
Definitely. Well, wrapping it up, and last but not least, let's talk some NBA news. Not a ton has happened since the Lakers won the championship, but a lot of coaching changes have happened in this shorter off season. So I'm just gonna go off real quick and just do some outs and ins. So the Brooklyn Nets out is Kenny Atkinson, in is Steve Nash. Chicago Bulls out Jim Boylan, in Billy Donovan. Cleveland Cavaliers out John Beilein, in JB Bickerstaff. Houston Rockets out Mike D'Antoni, in Steven Silas. New Orleans Pelicans out Alvin Gentry, in Stan Van Gundy. New York Knicks out David Fizdale, in Tom Thibodeau. Clippers out Doc Rivers, in Ty Lue. And the Sixers out Brett Brown, and in Doc Rivers. Out of all of those guys, give me your opinion on which is the most impressive hire, and maybe give me your guys' most, disappointment hire there.
I mean, for me, like the most impressive hire, I really like Steven Silas to the Rockets.
That one was interesting.
Mine.
He came from what? Dallas.
He came from Dallas.
He's deserved a head coaching role for a while.
Yeah. Obviously, his dad, Paul Silas, LeBron's first head coach. Just seeing him in different interviews and hearing obviously his plan of what he wants to do and implementing. Like, he says I want to put my players in the best position to win, more so like than just focusing on analytics the whole time and like going with different lineups. Like sometimes we'll go small ball, but sometimes we do need to have post players and interior presence. And So I really like the hire of Steven Silas. If I want to go with a second, I guess impressive hire is I like Stan Van Gundy to the Pelicans too. I like that move. I think
that one would have my mind too. I like he's a very good coach with younger players, and he's he's good at developing. Just look at the the Magic team he had, Dwight Howard and all of them, young guys, but was able to do something with them. So that would be interesting. I'll see.
And I think it didn't work out for him in Detroit because he was running management and coaching and all of that. I think that's really why it didn't work out. But yeah, I agree with you on that. That's a really good pick.
And as far as disappointing hire, I'm gonna say Tom Thibodeau to the Knicks. I mean, I know the Knicks need that structure, but I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be the same thing he had with the Timberwolves. Like you've got a lot of
less.
You got a lot of young guys, and he's a hard-nosed coach, and I'm sure they probably want him to come in and bring some discipline and structure, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like he's built for more, when he had obviously assisting in Boston when he had was with the big three. And then obviously in Chicago, when you have a Jimmy Butler, you get to coach a Rondo, getting to coach Derrick Rose, Luol Deng, like guys who are just
Carlos Boozer, Joakim Noah,
guys who are just here to play ball. Like that's his strength. So I think if he had gone maybe to the Clippers, or if he had gone, I guess the Clippers would have been a good one, for him. Or even, did OKC hire anyone yet? No,
I don't think they have yet. I just know.
Yeah, even OKC I think would have been a good move for him too. But yeah, that's my disappointment.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I like Houston, Steven Silas. I think, again, like I said before, he deserved a head coaching spot for a while. He's been a great assistant, and I think he really deserved that. And again, I echo kind of everything you said, just listening to him and talk about his plans, what he wants, and even, giving that assurance of, this between Russ and James can work out, because I think that's been a hot topic for this offseason is, can this work? Should they get rid of one of them? Should they ship one of them out? Obviously, if you're going to ship one of them out, it should be Russ. But talking about that back and forth, I think he's a great hire. I think not the best, but a really intriguing hire is Steve Nash. I think that's going to be really intriguing to kind of see what happens there. There's already been drama going around about, we don't, anyone could be the head coach, and we don't really have a head coach. And then also him bringing in Amari, and then Mike D'Antoni now, who's been a head coach for years, is now his assistant, who was his head coach.
It's like Suns 2.0.
Yeah, it's going to be such a different dynamic. So I'm really, really intrigued to see what's going to happen there in Brooklyn and kind of focus on that. And then for me, the most disappointing is I mean, this might be a little disrespectful, but Doc Rivers. I don't get it. I don't get how in 48 hours he can have a job after just being one of the most disappointing coaches in the past 10 years in NBA history.
Yeah, I didn't really even start to think about Doc Rivers, because I feel like it's just understood like that, Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of respect around the league. I was not saying he doesn't know basketball. He's forgotten more than what we know. But just from a fan perspective and just watching him, you said just most disappointing.
Yep.
Turnaround. He can just turn around and just get a head coaching job, and you got other guys out there who are ready to prove themselves. And obviously, I think he's bringing on Sam Cassell with him. Who's like, he deserves his shot. Why doesn't he get a chance to run his own team? But yeah, I think it's one of those things. I don't know if it's politics or whatever. It's just like, you've had such a big name for a long time in the league and a lot of respect. You can just, here's your job. Here's a new job. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be an interesting year to see how all these new head coaches do in their new teams. But to wrap up this weekend review, the 2020-2021 NBA season will officially begin December 22nd. And that's very, very short off season for the NBA. So we'll see how it all works out. But I mean, December 22nd, that's Christmas is 45 days away. I mean, just the fact that we're going to be watching, NBA games on Christmas again, like it's just going to be.
So it's a really 71-day turnaround.
It had to be done. It had to be done. To me, there was no option from the league's point and from the player's perspective. There was something that came out that said they were going to lose anywhere from $600 million to $750 million if they didn't if they started any time after the new year. Because the players originally wanted a start date on MLK Day. That's originally what they wanted, and they're going to lose out on that much money. And that means the organization, the players, the league, everything. So there was just no way it wasn't going to happen. When they announced that how much money they were going to lose, it was like a no-brainer. Like, this is going to happen. Adam Silver was pushing for it and saying, look, this is what's going to happen if we don't make it happen. So, and again, there were multiple teams who didn't even make it to the bubble.
Yeah.
For those teams who didn't make it to the bubble, they're going to be, they've had so much offseason. I think of Trae Young. I mean, everyone forgot about Trae Young. I haven't seen him play since March. Like,
or the Warriors. Like, you're talking about teams who've had 9 months. They've had twice as 2 off seasons pretty much.
But with the teams that did make a deep playoff run, and obviously the teams that were in the conference finals, do you expect to see their stars playing December 22nd, or do you see some of them taking a little longer?
I think there's going to be a lot of load management. I don't think they're not going to show up. I think there's going to be a lot more load management. I think LeBron, for the first time in his career, might actually, I guess I can't say the first time in his career, I would say take more advantage of it than he has the past 3 or 4 years, because he hasn't had the opportunity to. I think he was on early days in the Cavs, or early days the second time in the Cavs, I guess I should say, and then near the end of the Heat, I think he did a little bit more load management.
He took 2 weeks off, I think, with Miami, and took a week off, maybe 10 days or something with
the
Cavs.
But the last 2 years with the Cavs and then with the Lakers, he really hasn't had that opportunity, so I think he's going to take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously not playing. I think from the fans' perspective, it's almost like you guys had 4 months off. Then yes, you guys had a 3-month stretch of playing a lot of basketball, but then it's like, okay, now you get 2 months off again, and you're gonna jump back right into it. It's one of those things that's like, all right, like, come on,
There's
get
what,
into
10 less games this year?
72.
10 fewer games this year, but even then, it's like only 4 teams made a real deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like most of the league, I mean, when you're like 26 teams were done by mid-September, so they, everybody else got 3 months off before the season gets back. Like I said, most of the team, 12 of the teams, I think, or 10 of the teams. How many went to the bubble? 22, 20, something like that. So 8 to 10 of them got 2 off seasons, pretty much. So, and then the other half of them still get 3 months off, pretty much. So, I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm just interested to see. They haven't made any announcements as far as fans being allowed at games. I know some teams
don't count on it, Terrell.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it.
Well, I'm looking at NFL teams that play inside, like the Colts play inside and the Cowboys play inside, and they have fans too. I mean, obviously they're the seats to the field is pretty further away. Like the basketball games are a lot closer, but you can say, hey, no courtside seats or whatever, you know. But like, I don't know. I think it's possible, to allow a certain level of fans back
for sure.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that was the week in review. So let's jump into today's episode, boys.
The week in review.
Alrighty, let's jump into the main topic of the show. I do enjoy week in review. Because it, especially this one was the past like 3 or 4 weeks almost, and it was cool. Just some of those things I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
Stroll down memory lane.
Yeah, and I enjoy those discussions. But the main topic that we're going to talk about today is something that I think we're going to kind of pose on a little bit here, because we've been talking about it a little bit, so we didn't want to ruin all of our discussion, but beforehand, kind of just going back and forth. Should athletes take the money? Should athletes in situations take the money rather than a situation that is maybe more comfortable for them, or a place where they can win a championship easier? Should they take the money? T?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a one we argued back and forth, and we almost made this like a smaller segment on our show for our Heart Over Heads, but as we were just debating it, we were like, no, we need to build this out. This is a fun. Actually, Dalen brought it up. He's like, you guys got to build that out. So we're building this one out, and we really both feel passionate, and we're on opposite sides on this one. But my take is, I believe athletes should take the money. Like, always take the money. Unless you're in a situation where the organization is taking care of you, which I think is true of any job that you work. Like, if you're just not satisfied with the direction of the company, you're not satisfied with your coworkers, or, because there's situations where you may be a player and you signed on and you liked the coach that they hired, and then they fired that coach, or they fired that GM, and then you have a new regime and they don't care for you that much, and they're not treating you the same way. Like, I get it. Like, you probably should just leave, chase the happiness versus chasing the check. I mean, that's with any job. But if you like where you're at and you're in a good position and you're in a good spot, take the money. Make sure you are. To me, I think just being secure financially, not missing out on millions of dollars. Look, there have been a lot of players over the years who have, hey, I'm gonna take that pay cut and leave. I mean, player I'm thinking of right now is Giannis. Right, he's coming up on. He's got one more year left in his contract. He could be a free agent next year, and sign.
He is a free agent.
He's a free agent coming up.
He's a free agent. Correct.
This free agency?
This free agency.
I thought he had one more. I thought he had one more year.
No, he's a free agent this year.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you want to check that?
I'll check.
I thought he had this year, and then the next season he's going to be a free agent, because they're talking about trading for him to be on a team.
Oh man, I may be wrong, but I thought he was a free agent. All right, continue.
Check. I might be wrong, but anyways, I'm looking at a guy like Giannis who could be a free agent, whether it's this year or the next season.
He'll be a free agent next season. So following this
following the season. So he's got this year left on his contract, and then the next season he could be a free agent, and he could sign a max deal with the Bucs for the 5-year max, or he can sign with another team, and he could be leaving anywhere between like $40-50 million on the table to say, oh, I'm gonna go be on a championship level team. And I'm like, to the casual fan, it's like, oh, what's the difference? Oh, it's, you could be, make $60 million, you make $100 million. Like, you're still more than I make working at Target, right? It's, I mean, I don't work at Target, but you know what I'm saying. But anyways, it's $40 million. That's what you have to look at. Do you want to just say, hey, you're not going to make $40 million? And to me, that's so much money. Even guys like Shaquille O'Neal says, I would always take the money. Especially, he said, if I got offered contracts like these guys do today, I would always be taking the money. So, I mean, to me, take the money, get that bag, as Marshawn Lynch said, take care of y'all chickens. That's my take. Take that money.
Yeah, I mean, I understand all the points you're sharing and everything that you say. But I don't think you're really considering how important legacy is, not just to fans, but to players. There have been so many players in NBA history and in NFL history and everywhere, really, who have taken the MLB doesn't count as much because they can get paid going anywhere. So really, what we're talking about is NFL and NBA. And in the NBA specifically, I guess that's the main one we're talking about, because the bird rights and the supermax and everything like that, the incentives to stay with your team. I guess this is where this main conversation comes from. But all throughout the NBA, there have been notable players who have taken less money so that they can build upon their legacy. I mean, you think of the big three in Miami. All of those guys took significantly less than money. I think LeBron and Chris Bosh both took about $15 million less to make that team happen. And I think Dwayne Wade was just under $10 million that he left on the table so that they could make that happen. You think of Dirk Nowitzki, he took less money the past 4 or 5 years, even though it was, I think he deserved that for what he had done for the franchise, what he had built there and what he had established. But he said for his legacy's sake, even though they didn't win anything there, he wanted to have better players around him so that he could do more in that season. And so there have been so many players counts, even in the NFL. You think of Jerome Bettis, took about $3 million less and ended up winning a Super Bowl that next year because he wanted to allow their team to get better players. And legacy is extremely important to athletes, because to athletes, at the end of the day, it is a job, but at the same time, it's not. It's their life. I think, for so many people, I mean, you think about any job, you think of an electrician or whatever, someone who's a secretary or an accountant or whatever. I don't think, they would say that's my job. They wouldn't say this is my life. But for athletes, it's their job, but it's also their life. I mean, it's consumed their life, their entire life, to where now they're literally surrounded by it so much that they care so much about people's perception of them, to where their legacy matters so much. And so because legacy matters so much, and legacy matters so much to us fans as well, I say, in certain situations, I mean, if you can get more money and win a championship, great. But if you're in a situation like Giannis, who he's questioning the leadership of the Bucs organization, man, put yourself in a position where you can win a championship, and where you can, and you're still going to make millions, and maybe putting yourself in a situation where you come to the Warriors, or that's kind of the big organization that I think of that has shown interest in him, or even Miami. In these places, I think your sponsorship is going to go up. You're going to get more endorsements, so you're going to make more money there, and you win a championship. That just puts you in a better place.
I get what you're saying, but like, to me, why sacrifice financially and sacrifice the money, sacrifice the security over a fan's perspective or a fan's opinion? Like, the legacy is the fan's perspective. It's the fan's opinion. Like, it's what I think. I mean, we talk about LeBron James and compare him to Michael Jordan, and we talk about his legacy of championships. Like, that's all we talk about. Like, that's everything that we say. And but you got to think of, like, most guys in the NFL, in the NBA, and even in the NFL too. Like, how many guys win championships? Like, how many teams win championships? How difficult, you hear all the time how difficult it is to win the championship, and look at the guys who probably did what you're saying is, hey, I'm going to sacrifice, I'm not going to take the money, and then end up say I'm going to go play for this championship team, and they don't win the championship, and then they miss out on that money, or even a guy like Dwayne Wade, who you brought up, who did sacrifice. He got his 2 championships with LeBron and Wade, which is good, but he ended up missing out on $42 million. $42 million he really left on the table by not being able to sign that max contract and making room for LeBron and Bosch to come.
Well, he didn't lose $42 million because you signed a shorter for less seasons, which isn't technically $42 million, because he still made money that season, just didn't make it into that contract that was connected.
He could have made $42 million, but wanted to. I get what you're saying, but he could have made $42 million, but took it off the table to make room for those 2 guys, which is great. But I mean, you got to think. I mean, D Wade already got his championship, and now he's ended up signing 1-year deal with the Bulls and 1-year deal with the Cavs, and then to again,
because athletes are always chasing. They're chasing something, and he was chasing Kobe. He was chasing that. He wanted that legacy of passing Kobe, and so that's what fuels athletes. That's what makes sports and the competitive nature so entertaining to us, is that competitive nature of wanting to be better than that person, or wanting to do more than that person.
Yeah, which I think everybody wants to win. Everybody has that desire within them to win championships and win titles, but at the same time, everybody also has that within them to take care of their family, to take care of them, to take care of themselves, and to put themselves in the best situation financially. I think most of these young guys coming out of college, and some maybe back in the day in high school, they didn't go into the league saying, I mean, they wanted to win, but they didn't say, like, I'm going in here to cement my legacy. Like, that's my number one goal, to join the league. They're going in there to make that money. They're going, like, these guys just don't do a one and done because I'm trying to, be the GOAT. Like, that's my number one goal. Like, eventually, once you're in, and once you've gotten a taste of NBA basketball, or maybe you made it to a playoff run, or you're maybe 5-6 years and you haven't been there, maybe your priorities may shift a little bit. But at the end of the day, you gotta go get that money. You gotta get that check.
These players, though, you look at where their income comes from. Their income comes obviously from what they make as a basketball player, but their endorsements often will end up equaling more than what they're making as a player. And when you look at that, a better opportunity for more endorsements is being a champion and being in a large market and putting yourself in a situation where you can get those endorsements, like being in LA, being in Miami, being in Golden State and those places, that putting yourself in a better position to get those endorsements, to get that notice. Then when you get that championship, you're just being put on notice even more, to where I think those endorsements are coming in and really, really flowing in, to where now you're being recognized. I mean, I'm not trying to bag on your Spurs, but you look at, those guys in San Antonio, being in that small market, kind of getting those, ghetto, commercials that they're getting for
ghetto.
those
HEB commercials,
those grocery store commercials. But and at that time, San Antonio, they're winning championships. So, but I'm just using that as an example as far as that small market. So they're often, you're not getting those endorsements in those small market areas. And so wanting to put yourself in a position to get that recognition, to get those big time endorsements, and to be in that movie or whatever, being in New York, being in LA, being in Miami. So not only are you getting an opportunity to play for a championship and you're still making great money as a player, but you're also getting those endorsements. And you can get endorsements anywhere, but I think in those big markets, you're really setting yourself up better for those endorsements.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. You can get endorsements anywhere. Like the fact of there's only one LA, there's only one New York. There's, you're talking about movie deals and being on, big giant marquees. Like that's, there's two really main cities where it's going to happen in. And again, most guys, nowadays,
let's just add on to the endorsements.
Most people aren't going to New York to play basketball. Like,
Brooklyn.
Obviously, now you have Brooklyn, but that's a team that's been around for, or a franchise has been around for just a few seasons. And then, obviously, and then there's, you can go play for the Lakers. Like, when you're talking about being Hollywood or being, that big of a name, but you can also be in that small market and dominate. You look at Damian Lillard, who's in Portland. That's a small market, but you are a city. You're an entire city. So your endorsement is, no, you're not on, the Ruffles bag or whatever, like Anthony Davis, but you are on every billboard in the entire town. Your name is on every marquee. You are the city. So there's your endorsement right there, and take that money. You look at Russell Westbrook, who signed, re-up with the Thunder instead of, Kevin Durant left, and now they were talking about, the Russ might come to the Lakers. He might sign the big contract with the Lakers. He's like, nah, I'm staying with the Thunder. I'm going to win it here. And if I don't win it here, I'm at least like, this is my town. This is my city. And he was an entire city. James Harden, same thing. He signed that huge contract, $228 million. He said, Houston's my city. You are a town. Like, to me, with there's not being like, there's only maybe 4 or 5 huge markets in the league. Most of them are small markets. And I would say take that money and become the city, become the face of the franchise. Get that statue, get that your legacy is that city. Did you win 5, 6, 7 championships? No. Did you win any championships? Maybe not. But you got the money, and you're always remembered in that city. You talk about the Spurs, Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, they're cemented in San Antonio, the city in its city's lore. Like, if you could look up most famous people in San Antonio, like most recognizable names, like those guys are going to pop up. When those guys, when their life ends, they pass away, the entire city is going to remember them and recognize them. Just look at the late great Kobe Bryant. Getting part of Figueroa named after him. Like, he is the city. Yes, he won championships, but he's the city. Even that contract he got was for what he did for the city. So to me, staying in your town, taking care of yourself financially, staying with it, you're the biggest endorsement I think you can get is to be recognized by an entire city.
Well, I think we're not discrediting also, championships and, like we said, legacy. Those guys, the will to win a championship, we've seen countlessly time and time again, is more important to them than money. I mean, we've named so many great players who have taken less money to win a championship, and I don't think we really understand the magnitude of how important that is to these NBA players. Money is important, but to them, I think if you really ask them, like you said, going into the league, what is important, getting that bag. But then once you get that bag, it's what is the most important thing to you? And they would say championships. That's why there's so many great players that take the vet minimum. And you think of David West, who when he was in Indiana, I think it was he could have signed a $12 million deal in 2016, but he didn't. And then he went to the Spurs to sign a vet minimum for $1.4 million. I mean, these guys are countlessly doing it over and over again because that drive to win in them is so great that they have to win. I mean, that's what consumes them to where he's willing to put down $13 million on the table so he can say, I want to be a part of a championship team.
You good?
I'm good.
Got a little.
I'm good. I'm getting excited. And I'm passionate, and
snotty Pippin.
I have really bad allergies during the season, during this fall
Pippin
season.
Over here, Dalen.
Snotty Pippin. That was funny.
He's just getting emotional over here.
No, but
that was real funny. Snotty Pippin. I appreciate that. Appreciate you pointing it out too. No one else saw it because I was hiding behind the mic, but you saw it.
I saw it. You threw off your whole flow. My whole flow.
I didn't throw off my flow.
I was about to jump in, and then I was like,
just
"Whoa!"
Staring, bro.
That's because I roasted him there, Dalen. You know who the
making
winner
fun of
is.
those grocery store commercials.
No, I mean, no. Look, I don't even. I'm trying to rewind to.
I won.
What you last said. Just totally distracts me. No, look. I mean, yes, you can. Those guys can. You can win, and like you said, it may be. David West, it's important, but you look at a guy like David West. David West could sign the vest. He signed the vet minimum to join the Spurs and didn't win.
But then he ended up doing it with the Warriors and
didn't win the championship.
He ended up winning with the Warriors.
He ended up winning with the Warriors, but imagine if he signs with the Spurs and no one picks him up, or the Warriors don't decide to pick him up and they decide to go with someone else. And he ends up, losing the money. I mean, that happens to guys. You get like Latrell Sprewell, who's, obviously he said, no, I want to hold out for more money, and then no one picks him up. So he could have signed I think like a $40 million contract with the Wolves, and then he's like, nah, I want more money, and then nobody signs him. So he has $0. So, I mean, you could be in a situation where you go, well, I'm going to take less money to go win a championship. You don't win. And then, you don't get picked up. I mean, you look at Tracy McGrady did that with the Spurs. He took less money, decided to come with the Spurs, and we didn't win. So now he has no ring, and he didn't get the money too.
As the late, great Kobe Bryant once said, friends come and go, but banners hang forever. And I want to say this.
He said friends, bro. He didn't say money.
And I'm going to say, that's what I'm saying. And I'm going to say, money will come and go, but banners, they hang forever.
That money lasts. That generational wealth, bro.
Not always does it. But you still have that opportunity to get that wealth while also getting that championship. Why not get both?
But again, it's not always guaranteed. Like, that's the risk you take, is you say no money.
It is a risk. It's definitely a risk.
You say no money and no champion. And again, that's you trying to.
But what players have come out and said, man, I regret chasing that championship? I don't think I've ever heard that. I don't think I've ever heard a player say, man, I regret chasing that ring or trying to get that ring.
I mean, but you've heard players say, I don't regret taking the money, like Carmelo Anthony. He said he could have joined the big three instead of being Chris Bosh. It was supposed to be Melo. He said, I'm taking that money. And he says, I have no regrets taking the money. So, I mean, you got guys who, clearly they're not going to turn down money. And even then, he didn't even sign the full max because he tried to leave room to sign for the Knicks to sign other players too. They obviously didn't get the players they want. I think they got Amari Stoudemire was the one player they got. But so there's guys on both sides, and I would say, I think if guys like when they look back at their whole career, especially the ones who were like, I don't know, we haven't talked to them. I think we need to get more people on the show so we can talk to them.
I say try to get that ring.
I say take the bag. Dalen, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with both of you. I mean, I see where you're both coming from. I think at the end of the day, too, I think the question is, what do you value more as an NBA player? Do NBA players value the money more, or do they value their legacy more? And I think at the end of the day, depending on what their answer is, that's their decision. If they're all about the money, then yeah, they're going to take whatever money comes their way, and they're going to just be okay with that. But if they, like Ryan was saying, a lot of guys will turn down the money to chase that ring, and at the end of the day, if they get that ring, they gave up the money for the ring, and vice versa. I'm giving up this money, but I know, or hopefully I'm going to get that ring, or I'm going to give up the ring and take the $40 million. So it's like, it's tough. It really is, because you look at, and I don't know. I just think obviously that the two eras of basketball are the eras of basketball are different, where you weren't getting these max contracts, back in the day, where you had the opportunity to take the money or the ring. Everyone in Jordan's era were ring chasers. Everyone wanted a ring, more so than the money, because there wasn't, these fat contracts, where now players are faced with a 5-year, $240 million contract, or I'm going to go sign somewhere else for less, but have an opportunity to win a ring or two. I think when you look at it in that perspective, it may change what you really value. And I think that's my biggest point is what do you value more?
Yeah.
The bag or the ring. So you both have very good points, very good, arguments as to, why you guys said what you guys said. But in my opinion, I mean, I think I lean more towards the legacy aspect, especially now. I mean, I think back, if I played in Jordan's era, for sure, the ring. But now it's like, hey, am I really going to turn down $240 million for the maybe the chance to win a ring? So I don't know. It's a tough one, but like I would love to see, maybe the NBA take a poll of like, the money or the ring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the champ, because I think you do at the end of someone's career, you look at, say, Charles Barkley, a great player, but what's the one thing he gets roasted about the most on TNT? He doesn't have a ring, and Shaq clowns him all the time that he's not an NBA champion. But it's like, nowadays you want a ring so bad. Everybody wants a ring, but there's money waved in your face of, stay here and get the bag. So it's hard, it's tough, but you just
whatever your perspective
is, and really what you value more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at, but I think you guys did a great job at discussing this one.
I would love to hear what the people have to say on this one.
Yeah, I want to see.
What do you think is more important? The bag? We could put a little
cha-ching
bag
little
baggy
money
emoji there.
There you go.
Or the legacy. I don't know.
Put some
a
trophies.
trophy or
There
something
you
like
go.
that. What's more important to you? And let us know. We're gonna put a poll up on social media and see what you think. The legacy or the money. So that was a good discussion.
Get your chickens. Take care of y'all chickens.
A little Marshawn Lynch reference there. So, well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Water Break. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay hydrated.